Welcome to How to Cook That. I'm Reardon, and if you're new around here, you might not know that every year we make a gingerbread creation at Christmas time, and this year is no exception. So we're going to get onto that, but before we do, let me show you some of the ones from previous years and just take a moment to wish you, all my wonderful subscribers, a very Merry Christmas, and thank you for your support throughout this year. You guys are fantastic. Now for this year's gingerbread creation, step 1 is to print and cut out the template. And any pieces that say join here, line them up and, well, you know what to do. You guys are smart. Step 2 is to make your dough. This is a really easy recipe. All you need to do is mix all the ingredients together. You can even just use a wooden spoon if you don't have a mixer for that. I'll put all the recipe quantities and the template on my website, howtocookthat.net. When it comes to the spices, they are totally optional. They do not affect the texture of the dough in any way. So you could leave them out altogether, you can add more, you can change them up and customize it to make your gingerbread taste just how you like it. Once it's mixed, it's really soft. So now you need to cover the bowl and put it in the fridge for a few hours to let it firm up a bit. For step 3, you want to roll out the dough between 2 sheets of baking paper and then take the top one off. Sprinkle the top with flour, and this is just to stop the template from sticking to the dough when you're cutting it out. Add the template pieces into place and carefully cut around it. Now for some pieces you want to leave a border of gingerbread around the piece that you've cut out, and for other ones you want to take it away. Let me just show you the difference of what happens when you bake it with and without a border. If I cut 2 circles and 2 number 7s, so you can see a curved edge and a straight edge, and then for one half I'll take all that spare dough away, and for the other I'll leave a border around each piece. Halfway through baking you need to recut the ones with the border, and you can already see the difference. The ones without the border are rounded, and the ones with the border are flatter and straighter edges, which is ideal for walls where you need to join them together. As well as the difference in the edges, there's also a difference in the spread. You'll see the ones without the border didn't spread as much. So for any pieces that are joining to another piece, or it's important that they don't spread and they keep their exact shape to fit to something, put a border of gingerbread while it's baking to keep it in place. But to me, those rounded edges, they just look prettier and they look nicer. So if it's anything that's just on display, it's not joining to anything, don't leave a border so that the gingerbread can spread slightly and round itself out, because it looks nicer. The other thing to consider is how thick you roll your dough. I'll show you 2 different thicknesses here. This is the thickness I like for walls or larger pieces that need structure, and this is the thickness I like for smaller pieces. Now obviously that's going to bake a lot faster than this. When you're baking large thick pieces of gingerbread, the trick is to bake it until you think it's done, take it out of the oven, put another tray and baking paper on top and flip it over, and then put it back in the oven for another 10 minutes so that underside can really dry out. Once it is done and it's cooled, if it's still got a little bit of give in it, you can just put it back into the oven again to dry out, or you can use this trick that I like to do, which is to spread some compound melted chocolate all over the back of the piece just to give it a little bit of extra strength. Or you could do that if you just like the taste of chocolate with your gingerbread, of course. Step 4 is to decorate. That's right, it is much easier to decorate this one flat before you put it together. Take some royal icing and draw an outline around the outside of your city and pipe a square for each window. Now take some of that royal icing and add a little bit of water, just a little bit at a time, because you can always add more but you can't take it out. Now if I stir this and then take the spoon out, you can see that the icing is slowly melting down into a smooth flat surface, and that's the consistency that you're looking for. Then we're going to add that onto the city and spread it out right up to the border that we piped, and keep going until the whole thing is covered. And then I like to just give it a little shake just to help that icing settle out flat. To fill smaller areas like the windows, a piping bag or a plastic bag with the corner cut off makes it much easier than using a spoon, because it's quite tricky. The smaller it gets, the more likely you are to make a mess. Now you want to repeat that with all your other pieces. And one other tip you might need is if you want straight lines, don't pipe with the bag touching the gingerbread, hover it above, and then as you move along, that line of icing kind of straightens itself out as it falls into place. For all your smaller pieces, Pipe the outlines as shown on the template and then add some icing to fill it, and use a toothpick or anything small that you've got to spread it out into all those tricky little areas. If you're not confident with your drawing and piping abilities, place the template on top of the gingerbread piece and using a sharp craft knife, cut along the lines on the template, pushing through the paper, and that will leave a mark on your gingerbread that you can then use to guide you when you pipe the outlines. For some pieces you'll want to pipe in layers. So for example with the sheep we want to pipe a curvy pattern around the edge and then flood fill in the middle, spreading it all the way to the edge so it looks a bit like a cloud. Then pipe some more white on top and grab some black and outline the feet, and then pipe a little face on top. You should wait until the white is completely dry. I was a bit impatient here, so you'll see later that black kind of bleeds into the white a little bit. While I'm making the sheep, let me thank Big Farm Mobile Harvest for sponsoring this video. I'll put a link below where you can download the game for free. The game is a farm simulator game where you're in charge and you need to harvest your crops and plant new ones. And don't forget to collect your eggs and feed the chickens. In December there are presents hidden all over your farm. They're really small, but if you look for them and find them, you get extra rewards like dog bones. You can feed those to your dog. Let me show you. There you go, little doggy. You can also join a co-op or make your own with friends and family, so you can do some tasks together as a team. From time to time they run some in-game environmental initiatives, like in September they had little tree saplings that you had to get in the game, and at the end of September they then donated enough money to plant 5,000 actual real trees, not just in-game trees. I'll put a link below where you can download Big Farm Mobile Harvest for free and start playing today. Now back to our gingerbread house. Smash up some clear hard-boiled lollies. These ones that I've got came in a bag, but if yours didn't, put them in a bag before you put a hammer on them, of course. And then add those crumbs of smashed lollies into the spaces on this piece so that it's going to look a bit like a sunburst. Make sure you load up each section really well, because otherwise it'll be too thin. Once you've done that, pop it into the oven and let it melt. Did I mention to put non-stick baking paper underneath? I don't think I did. If you don't do that, it'll stick to the pan, so make sure you've got non-stick baking paper under it. Now, if you take it out now, it will be smooth, or you can leave it in for a bit longer if you want it to bubble, and then you'll get these bubbles in the window part, which I like. But don't leave it too long or it will burn. If you want any parts of your cookie gold, you can't just brush luster dust on it like we did with the chocolate balloon dog, because unlike chocolate, the luster dust doesn't stick to icing. Let me show you. If I brush some on, it looks good, but as soon as I brush it again, it brushes right off. So what we need to do is add a little bit of vanilla essence to make a liquid gold edible paint, and then you can just paint that on wherever you want it. Once all your pieces are decorated and ready, you need to leave it for a couple of hours to make sure all that icing is fully dry, especially on those bigger pieces. While you're waiting, if you need a last-minute Christmas gift, it's not too late to order on Amazon. If you get in quickly, they're still guaranteeing delivery before Christmas in the US, and I think Australia, you'll have to check on the website wherever you're based. You could get Dave's novel, The Deep Enders, my cookbook. Great easy present ideas. You can wrap them up and give them to someone on Christmas Day. So once your pieces are dry, it's time for step 5, assembly. Start by putting together the light box at the back, as well as adding room for the lights. This also adds stability to the backdrop, so it's a good idea. This icing is just royal icing that I've added a little bit of cocoa powder to for colour, because I didn't want white between the joins on this one. Add the backdrop into place, and you'll need to support that with something behind it until it's set. So I'm just going to use a big jar that it can lean on. Then add the strips to each side. These will join the two backdrops to give them a bit of stability there, but it also means that there's a gap between them, so you've got that distance. Put the front backdrop into place. Now, if you want lights, which of course, yes, we do want lights, now is the time to add them into the light box and just thread the cord through and out the back so you can plug that in later. Lay out your side pieces and pipe the icing along the base of where they will go, then add the back of the building and pick up those two side pieces and join them together. Near the back, but not quite on it, add more icing and add your window into place. You will be able to see this inside section here, so neaten up your icing if it's bulging out like mine is, and make sure it looks good. Before we do any more of the structure of this building, we need to add the figures, otherwise it will be too hard to get your hands in. Add a little scrap of gingerbread for support and your little figure in front of it. Once they are all in place, you can then add the front of the building and then the roof on top. Now you can decorate the roof with lollies or chocolate or whatever you want, but I decided to leave mine just plain gingerbread. Now for the trees. You will need a decent amount of icing and some extra gingerbread scraps behind them to keep them upright because they're quite top heavy. So rest them against something as they set. Add your little donkey into place and your sheep on the other side. And then on the front of the stable, add a scrap of gingerbread just underneath the awning there and plenty of icing and pop the star into place. Now you're either going to need to stand there and hold that to support it until it sets, or put something underneath it. And do the same with your angel.
Angels sing, glory on high, peace be with you, friends, on this beautiful night. Wise men bring precious gifts for the Prince of Peace as he sleeps on the hay. Who knew that night would hold the greatest story ever told? On this holiest of nights, we let light into our lives. This child, a guide forevermore.
Merry Christmas to all of you. A huge thank you to my subscribers and my patrons for all of your support this year. You guys are absolute legends. I really appreciate it. God bless, make it a great week, and I'll see you in the new year.